Hello everyone and welcome to our playthrough of Dragon Warrior 2 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This is the second game in the Dragon Warrior series that was made for Nintendo. So here we are with the opening title. We can see the hero in the center, surrounded by his two cousins, the Prince of Cannock and the Princess of Moonbrook. So we're going to go ahead and start up the game here. We're going to begin a new quest, and we need to set our name. So for this game, I like to put the message speed on fast, because for some reason normal is just so slow. So we're basically going to tell the prologue now. So this game takes place about 100 years after the events of Dragon Warrior 1, and the descendants of the hero and Princess Gwaelin basically settled in three different areas: Middenhall, Cannock, and Moonbrook. So here we are starting out in Moonbrook with the princess and her father. The father is also a descendant of the hero. Given that it's 100 years, it's probably the second descendant. So Hargon is the antagonist in this game, and who all of a sudden, after years of peace, has decided to attack Moonbrook Castle. So his monsters have appeared. And the king is just trying to protect his daughter. Everyone, I remember when this game came out so long ago, everyone was so excited because of the concept of you could have more than one character be in your party, which was not seen in the Dragon Warriors in the first one. This game came out right around the time that Final Fantasy came out, which had the multi-party system, so that played a part of it too. And it's just a natural progression of the storyline. You'll see later in this game that Tantagal is in this game as well. So as we can see, the king has been slain by the monsters, and they're taking over the town, and they're going to sack the town. One brave knight fights his way out and is going to tell of their dire issues. It's presumed during the fight he's mortally wounded. So he's going to try and get to Middenhall, which, those who are familiar with this game, is a pretty far walk. You have to go all the way up the continent that they're on to the north, cross through the cave into the continent where Middenhall and Cannock is, and then walk all the way to Middenhall. They don't show you any of that in this. So the soldier has arrived at Middenhall, and he is weak. That's why he's walking so slow and mortally wounded, it's presumed, given that he passes away. So they're going to go see the king. And here's the first time we see our hero, the protagonist in the story. He basically says that Hargon has destroyed Moonbrook, and that he's warning him that Hargon needs to be stopped. So naturally, we have to stop him. So we are the descendant of Edric from the first Dragon Warrior game, as I said earlier, and we have to go out basically and find our cousins, the Prince of Cannock and the Princess of Moonbrook. So as you can see here, status is pretty weak. Nothing really yet. Leather armor. The menu system looks pretty similar to Dragon Warrior 1. They did away with the stairs and the door option. You basically just get the doors open with keys, and that once you have the key, you don't have to get more. For steps, you just walk on them. So here we are, and the king is basically telling us we have to go out and look for our cousin. He gives you the mightiest weapon apparently they have, which is a copper sword and gold. You would think that with all the years of peace, they would have always been ready for evil to return, given the history passed down to them, but apparently not. So, we are starting out with a copper sword and a leather armor, which is the standard for Dragon Warrior series. Your hero, over the years, obviously never decided it would be a good idea to go out and get some experience and practice. So he is at level 1, as you can see. This game is a little easier at the initial onset of getting up levels. It's quicker than Dragon Warrior 1. There's less of a grind. You can get from level 1 to level 4 or 5 pretty quickly. So as you can see here, there's just some doors. No way to get in them. So we're just going to go ahead now and start to head outside the town. The castle, and sorry, here we have an inn, and here we have a tool shop. They sell you basic stuff, medical herbs, antidote herbs. I'm not going to use any of them right now. We don't really need them until we go to the Spring of Bravery. So for now, we're just going to fight around for a little while. Really not a lot to do at this point. So one of the good things about this game is the initial onset. You don't have to worry too much about getting beat up. You can kill these guys pretty quick. Big slugs are the hardest around the castle, and the slimes are obviously pretty easy. You'll see some drawbacks to the original Dragon Warrior. You run into some Drakis, slimes, and I think there's some wyverns in this game, and really that's about it. A lot of the enemies have been dispersed. And right now we're on a totally different continent than the events of Dragon Warrior 1. Later on in the game we can visit those areas, but right now we don't have access to them. So we're just going to keep wandering around and fighting for a little while. So as you can see, we don't run across anybody too hard. Once you get to level 2, 3, you can one-hit the big slugs. The slimes are one-hit kills. You have to be very careful at the beginning of this game because you can lose your hit points pretty quick and you have no way to heal other than medical herbs or the inn. So you have to be cognizant of that. My focus right now is not so much on gold. It's more so just gaining levels and experience, so I'm okay with staying at the inn whenever I need to. The inn's only like 4 or 5 gold anyway. Once we get to level 2 or 3, we'll start to head off to the other towns of Leftwind and Cannock, which is the next progression in this game. So with all the Dragon Warrior series, one of the things I like is that they don't specifically tell you what to do. They don't say to you, oh, you have to go to this exact spot in this exact place. They only give you hints towards it, and you actually have to go around for the hints. For example, when we were ready to get the Princess of Moonbrook to join our party, we don't exactly know what happened to her after the events of Moonbrook Castle being destroyed, so you have to kind of figure that out on your own. Basically by going to Moonbrook Castle and exploring the area and talking to the non-playable characters who still reside in there, and they give you hints as to her demise and what to do about it. When I first played this game, it took me a long time to figure out what to do to get the Princess of Moonbrook, but eventually I figured out that if you go to Moonbrook Castle, they give you all the clues. So as you can see, we're just going to keep fighting around. I'm going to go stay at the inn now. I got beat up pretty bad there. So again, the inn's pretty cheap. The inn gets more expensive for every non-play character you have in your party. So if it's 4 gold now, when you get the prince, it'll be 8 told when you get the princess, it'll be 12, basically triples when you get your full party. This generation of Edric's descendants, I cannot use magic at all. You never learn any magic throughout this game. So the hero is basically attack and items only. When you get the Prince of Cannock, he's a good healer and has some offensive magic as well. He learns like things like fireball, and the princess is both. She gets better, more stronger offensive skills at the sacrifice of her defense. She's pretty weak in terms of defense, so you need to do your best to get her good weapons and armor to help keep her alive, because that's one of the constant challenges throughout the entire game, is how do you keep the princess alive. So we're just going to keep fighting around here. Like I said, if you notice, the speed is a little faster than Dragon Warrior 1 because I set it on fast. If you put it on normal, there's this delay when you attack that you have to wait, and you wait. I feel like you're waiting forever between the text changing, so I always just put it on fast. I basically think fast is normal. So we're just going to keep fighting our way through. More slimes, nothing fancy here again. This is just the same routine. Once we get up to level 3, I'll be ready to venture on. The problem is, right here it's easy, but when you get to head towards Leftwind and towns like that area, it gets a little harder, and 1 or 2 hits you can be in a weak spot, and then you have to spend all your money on medical herbs or inns, or worse comes worse, you die, and then you have to start again with half your gold. One of the good things about this game is the saving system. You can save at any castle and certain towns as well. So as you can see, we're still at level 2. I always, again, because I'm playing this on an actual Nintendo, not an emulator or anything like that, I always save as often as possible, because you can get the gray screens and the other freezing issues, or the game can become just corrupted. So I try to save as often as possible. I'm a big proponent of that. Just so everybody knows, while we're just kind of wandering around here getting up levels, is what I did to create these videos is I have a Nintendo console that has a HDMI adapter on it, and what I do is I loop the HDMI adapter to a video capture card inside of a computer, and then the output is fed to a TV. So my computer basically records everything we see on the screen, and then I can use it to upload to YouTube, or I can do live streaming, stuff like that. I have an Elgato 4K capture card. That's very nice to have. It works very well. As you can see, the rendering is pretty good. You get a little bit of a buffer, like a lag, when you move. You can see that as the screen gets a little blurred. But I noticed that's only with the Nintendo, not the more modern systems. So it's probably just a design thing. I don't really play into it too much, or even try to figure it out. Because again, you can't really get water from a stone with the graphics and the old 8-bit Nintendo. One of the things I liked about this was they fixed a lot of the issues from Dragon Warrior 1, and they put a lot more effort into this game in terms of items and stuff actually having a function and a purpose. If everybody remembers from Dragon Warrior 1, the fighter's ring, you could get it, but it didn't do anything because they never programmed it to do anything. It was just there, but you couldn't do anything with it. So it was just one of the things you would get it and sell it. So we're gonna head over towards Leftwind and start our adventure in looking for the Prince of Cannock. Now there's some poison here. I just walk over it. Here's the town of Leftwine, however you say it. Okay, so iron ants. Now as you can see, the guys start to get a little harder. I'm going to just run from these guys for good measure right now. So here's Leftwin. This is one of the towns on the continent that we're on. They have a tools shop. So as you can see, they have a wing of the wyvern. Medical herbs. I'm not going to buy anything yet. We have our standard weapon shop. They have a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to spend the money on anything yet. I could buy a leather shield, but I don't really need it right now. It doesn't make that much of an appreciable difference. I'd rather save up for the magic knife for the Prince of Cannock to help give him a little bit of a better attack, just because his magic is weak when you first get him. Here is one of our churches, temple, chapel, whatever they call it. There's 3 items: detoxicate, which is basically get rid of poison, uncurse, and revive. Revive obviously is if one of your party members passes away, you can bring them back there for pay a small fee and they'll be brought back to life. When we go into the Spring of Bravery, it's when it starts to get really hard, and it's really one of the first spots where you can lose your life. So I'm going to make sure I'm well stocked before I go there. But the first step we need to do is go up to the castle of Cannock and talk to the king, who is the father of our cousin. So safe to assume that he is my uncle, I would believe, because we're all descendants of the hero. As you can see, Drakis, these were in the first game. They're basically 2-hit kills at this point. So one of the things with this game is you do not get to name the Prince of Cannock or the Princess of Moonbrook. There's a random algorithm inside of the programming of the game that chooses the name for you. So here we can see we have the castle jail, just a lone guard. You eventually get a key later. You can open those cells. Here is another house of healing. Basically the same things in every town, city, castle, dwelling. More doors we can open. Prince Taliant. So in this game, his name is going to be Taliant. That's a weird name, but okay. This is his sister, so also basically a cousin. So here is the king, presumed your uncle. You can save here. So you had to get the prince. There's really one way to do it. You have to go to the Spring of Bravery and talk to the wizard-looking guy who's standing there, because it's presumed, you're told by various people that that's where the prince went looking for you. So we're going to head that way shortly. We're just going to keep doing a couple other items first. And just walk back a little bit so I don't get too beat up. Maybe get up another level or so. I'm going to go get some items. Just to show you again, it's not very difficult to walk between towns at this point. You can pretty much fight off anything that comes your way. We're basically down to 1 hits on the big slugs. So these guys are good experience grabbers. I try not to run from battles in this game unless I have to, just because of the amount of experience and gold. It helps level up quicker. Obviously, in this game, there's less of a grind in the leveling scheme than it was in Dragon Warrior 1. So we're just going to keep heading back towards Middenhall Castle. Now, I really don't need to do this. It's more so just a way of getting a golden experience while ensuring that I don't get overwhelmed by the constant fighting, which, as you can see, is what happens when you fight the harder guys. It's quick to become near dead, which is what I'm at right now, and I don't have any medical herbs or anything like that. So I'm just going to keep, I'm going to run from this fight. And we're going to just keep working our way back. Again, like I said, you want to be very careful in this game because it's easy to die at the beginning. Same as all the Dragon Warriors. So we're just going to stay at the inn. And now we'll probably buy some stuff to use on our adventure to the Spring of Bravery. So I'm just going to buy a bunch of medical herbs and antidote herbs. Antidote herbs are very important in the Spring of Bravery because you come across the big cobras, which are like these oversized snakes, and they poison you. And poison will run you down basically 1 hit point for every step. So we're gonna make sure we've got an ample amount of those, which should be good. And we're just gonna, for due diligence, save, and then we're going to head on our way up to the Spring of Bravery. I'll show you there are a couple of ways to get there. 2 ways basically. One is you can go up past Cannock and follow the northern part of the continent, or there is a way to get here from Moonbrook as well. I'm sorry, not Moonbrook, Middenhall. So we're going to head north now and start our adventure to the Spring of Bravery. Spring of Bravery is not very difficult. It's basically your first introduction to caves in this game, and as you'll see that the caves are now larger and more complex than they were in Dragon Warrior 1. Even the most basic of caves are the scale of 2 to 3 times larger than they were in Dragon Warrior 1. So one of the things that you'll notice that they don't have the requirement for and don't sell anymore is torches. The caves are all lit now. They just didn't feel that that was a necessary addition to this game, which is fine with me. They don't have radiant anymore. There's none of that stuff. So we're just going to keep going north, and we'll follow this little mountain range here, fighting off these guys. I try and fight whenever I can. It's just because of leveling up is that much quicker. Before you try and leave this continent, you want to be on at least level 6 or 7. And the prince up to at least level like 3 or 4. So we're just going to keep fighting these guys off. Again, you have to just keep a close eye on your hit points because they drop rather quickly. We gained a new level. We're now at level 4. I recommend being on at least level 4 when you're going to tackle the Spring of Bravery, which I am basically at. So, you can get to the Spring of Bravery by walking through that poisoned swamp over there, around the lake, or you can just go this way. I'm going to go this way for good measure, because a couple of reasons. One, I like to avoid the poisons, because obviously they drain your hit points. And 2, the longer you walk, the more experience you get from the fights. So, doing your walking is always a good thing. And as we all know, steps are good for exercise. So we're just going to keep working our way. As you can see, the fighting randomization here happens quite often. We get pulled into a fight, but again, there's nothing difficult about them. I'm just going to keep heading this way. Now you can go right over these 2 bridges, which we're going to come across to get to the Spring of Bravery. But if we go left, we're going to go past Cannock, which we can stop and stay at the inn if I need to, and then head north up and around. So we'll probably go that way. So as you can see, I'll probably need to whip out a medical herb here, just for good measure. One of the things I don't like about this game is your ability to carry items is limited in this game, more so than Dragon Warrior 1, ironically. When you have the sword, the shield, the armor, the helmet, that takes up 4 spots in your item list, and you cannot carry that much. They don't let you double, like, every time you get a medical orb, it takes up one line. They don't just do like medical orb 4, medical orb 5, and let you carry a ton of them, because apparently you can't do that. So when you can only carry, like, I think it's like set 8, 10 items, so you have to spread your items out amongst your party, which is okay, but it just, you have to trade stuff and move it around, and I don't know, it's didn't really need to be that way, but that's the way they did it, so whatever. So we're back at Cannock again. Probably just going and for good measure to prep for our trip to the Spring of Bravery. Go up to the inn here. So now we are nice and healed up. Again, inns and saving is very important in this game. So you can buy a fairy water. I don't bother here. Just it's so much gold. Same thing for Wing of Wyverns. I was tempted to buy one, but I decided against. So for good measure, we're just going to save, because we're here, why not? And then we'll make our way over to the Spring of Bravery. Almost at level 5. So now we're going to leave Cannock Castle and head north and then east to go over to the Spring of Bravery. As you can see, we're at level 4. We have about 48 hit points. Magic points, none. There'll never be any for the hero, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. That's why they give you help with the other characters. Once you get your party pretty strong, it's balanced pretty well in terms of attack defense. You'll find that when you fight later on towards the end of the game, it gets pretty easy. The final bosses are not that difficult, unfortunately. There's really not a lot to it. You just fight your way through Hargon's castle, fight Hargon, and then you come across the secret boss that was hinted at in the game but never really talked about. And it's funny, when I first played the game, I got all the way to the end and beat Hargon. I'm like, yes, I did it. And then I went, he said something about he'll send you to Malroth, and I'm like, whatever, I don't even know what that is. And I just started walking out, and man, you in for a surprise when you come across Malroth and you're not healed or anything like that. So it killed me the first time, and I had to do it over again. But then you beat it. It's not overly difficult. So we're just going to keep fighting these guys and heading over to the Spring of Bravery. Now, the Spring of Bravery, there's a pretty direct path you can take just to get to the spring, but I don't follow that path. I'll take the other ways to collect the treasures that are in there, because every little bit helps at the beginning. When you get things like clubs, you'll find them periodically. You can sell them for like 20 gold or something like that, which is helpful for this. Obviously, any little bit helps. So we're just going to keep going on. Fight off these guys. Across the desert. Across the plains here. As you can see, the bosses, the guys start to get a little harder. But again, they're not overly difficult. The western side of this continent has significantly harder enemies. Over by the cave where you get the silver key. We'll tackle that after we get through some other parts of this. So you have to be careful because, again, like I said, healers, believe it or not, can beat you up pretty bad if you're not careful. They'll hit you pretty hard. Not hard, but hard enough. And that they keep healing, they'll keep healing themselves sometimes. So in this case I got lucky. But as you can see, I lost 6 hit points pretty quick there. So 6 hit points doesn't sound like a lot, but when you've only got 48 or a little, I guess I have over 50 now. So again, it's all about balance. Balancing your medical herbs and antidote herbs. If you don't take enough antidote herbs, you get poisoned, and then you have your hit points drained. But then you don't have enough medical herbs because you took... So we're just going to keep going into this cave here. This is the Spring of Bravery. As you can see, the caves have gotten more complex since Dragon Warrior 1. There's no more need for torches or anything like that. Everything is shown the way. So we're just going to head deep into the cave here. I definitely like the effort they put into this game. They fixed a lot of the lower effort stuff that they did in Dragon Warrior 1. This game was expected to make money, so they actually put better programming and development into it. They had the ability to do all that in Dragon Warrior 1, but they just didn't, which bothers a lot of people, but I mean, it was the first game in a series, so this game was definitely more of an effort was put into things. What I like about this game is the progression of the storyline is actually a lot more detailed and complex than the original game was just, okay, you have to go beat the Dragon Lord. But in this game, you have to do a lot more things. You have to get the crests, you have to get your characters, you get a boat in this game. See, I was poisoned there, so we're just going to head back up the way we came now. Again, these guys are not overly difficult, but you have to balance everything here because you can get beat up pretty quick. So we're just going to keep going through here. We'll go down and around now. So we're just checking out my hit points, deciding what I should do. I'll probably heal myself at some point here. Like the little just like patch of water in the cave with the waves. So we're going to go head down this way. I'm still deciding if I should heal or not. Yeah, maybe I should sooner or later. You could take I could take a couple more hits here. The Spring of Bravery, when you get there, they will heal you. The gentleman, if you tell him that you're not looking for the Prince of Cannock, he'll heal you, which is good because that helps you to just use it for the walk out. I like to explore all the caves and get the treasures, especially at the beginning of the game, because obviously they give you gold and medical herbs and stuff like that. So we're going to go up this way. I think we have to go north if I remember right. Dragon Warrior 2 was always bad about whenever you would go into a different part of the cave where it would shift, where the screen would shift, you always get attacked. It was just the randomization. They did that because they didn't, the same problems that were limited with the Nintendo, they didn't know how to optimize the memory enough to show the entire cave at once. When you look at Dragon Warrior 3 and 4, that becomes less and less prominent, especially in 4, because they started to learn how to optimize the memory that was available to them with the Nintendo. Hence why Dragon Warrior 4 is like, the game is ginormous in the terms of chapters, and that game introduced chapters and the amount of characters you can have. That's my favorite game of this series, and the most time consuming. They also made it into various Switch ports of all the games to like the Switch. I think they even ported them to the Super Nintendo at one point. I've never been a fan of ports, just whether it's for iOS, the Switch, because I feel like they make the games, they just brought them out to make money, which I understand that there's the nostalgia to people, but they made them so easy. Like if you play Dragon Warrior 1 on the Switch, you could beat the game in like half the time you could on the original console, because they dumb it down to make it so easy for people, which I don't agree with. I played it through and I beat the game in like, I don't even know, like 5-6 hours, compared to the amount of time it takes to properly beat the console games. So we're just going to keep beating up these guys. I'm going to have to heal again here. So we got up another level, which is good. So now we're just going to head heal up. I'm running out of medical herbs, as we can see, but I should be alright. Next up is we'll stop at the Spring of Bravery and talk to the wizard-looking guy who protects it. So again, you can explore the various caves sections that you don't see. This is the way to go to the Spring of Bravery. As you can see, there it is. There's really nothing left in this cave. There's one little treasure chest over here, which I'm going to scoop up. I think this was an antidote herb. Yes, medical herb. So that's good to have. And we talked to this guy. So now, what happens is, as the story is progressing, this guy tells you he was just here and I think he's going to Middenhall Castle. So, don't actually believe that. So it's kind of confusing to find the Prince of Cannock, but there's a trick to it, which I'll show you guys, and we'll talk about it as we start walking out. So if you tell him no, he will heal us, recover our hit points. Alright, so now we have to go find the Prince of Cannock. The wizard-looking guy at the Spring of Bravery told us that he's headed toward Middenhall Castle. In reality, he's actually not. He is heading towards Leftwind. So we're going to head back that way first. Depending on which randomization you get in the game, you can find the Prince of Cannock at different spots. Sometimes he's at Middenhall in the inn. Sometimes he's at Leftwind in the inn. In 99% of the iterations, if you go to Leftwind first, after leaving the Spring of Bravery, he's there. Sometimes I've gotten stuck before having to like wander around to find him, but we should get pretty lucky in this case. And he should be just sitting at the inn waiting for us. So we're just going to keep fighting our way out of here. Again, I try not to run from any of these fights just because of the amount of experience and the gold that's acquired makes it advantageous to fight. So we're just going to keep heading down here. And we're going to exit this cave shortly. Just going to fight our way out. Tremendous blow with a copper sword. I always find it funny that you're the descendant of like the greatest hero of the time, and all they can give you in the castle when they want you to go beat the greatest evil is like a copper sword and a leather armor and a shield. But what do I know? You'd think they would have like an arsenal or an armory of weapons available to you, but apparently not. So Babbles, you have to be careful because they poison. They're one-hit kills, but they can beat you up pretty quick, as you can see. So we're just going to fight them off. You got to be really careful with your hit points here. So again, I'm going to be okay because I'll kill the guy before he can attack me. But now I'm going to have to use a medical herb and an antidote herb. Otherwise, I will be dead very quickly. So we're going to use a medical herb and use an antidote herb to remove the poison. And now we're going to head back towards Cannock and Leftwind area. We'll head back that way. So again, we're just going to keep fighting these guys off here. So I'm already strong enough to head towards the next areas of this game. As you will see, the Prince of Cannock will not be. So he'll start out at level 1. So we're going to have to fight around for a little bit for good measure and get him some better weapons and armor. Just because if he dies, we have to go back to a town, spend our money to have him healed. I'm just going to heal for good measure here. Probably didn't need to do that, but it's okay. So we're just going to keep heading back. There's Cannock. So we're going to pass it. We don't actually need to stop there. I could, but I'm okay. I've got enough resources to get me where I'm going. So we're just going to keep heading south. Back to Leftwind. Fighting off these guys as usual. And we're going to keep heading south now, and here comes the town again. Oops, ran into a mountain. I like the scale of the game. You're just as big as the mountains that you can't walk over. So we're just going to fight off these Drakis, and this will be our last fight as a single party. And we're just going to kill this dude and get some more experience and gold. So as you can see, we've got a pretty decent amount of gold. I like to spend my money. Here's the Prince of Cannock. As you can see, he's waiting for us in the bed at the inn. This is the only thing he'll ever say in the game. So they play the little music where he's joined our party. And now, as you can see, we have a dual party system right now, which is nice. His name is Taliant. I'm just going to call him Tally for short because that's all that fits on the screen. And so we're going to just see, as you can see now, the inn has doubled because the price goes up when you have 2 people. So as you can see, the prince is fairly weak. He's basically just level 1. He knows heal, and that's really about it. So I'm going to buy him a little bit of better things here. I'm going to buy the magic knife for him. It helps, and I'll buy the leather shield for me. And then I'll buy the magic knife for him, and that will deplete our money. So getting him the magic knife is good because, like I said, he has really no attack power right now. So let's equip the stuff we got. Oh, sorry, I have to go back to equip. This game's a little different in the way you actually have to equip things. Before you never had to. So we just got to go through there's our leather shield. Now let's equip, let's equip our magic knife. And we can sell some of the stuff that we've gotten at some point here. So now we are going to go and talk to this guy, and we can sell some of the stuff I no longer need, like clubs. 45 gold, so that's a good amount of gold. And as you can see, we have to switch to Tally to sell his leftover stuff. Again, we won't use the clubs anymore, so that gives me basically almost 100 more gold than I had before. So now we're going to head back towards Middenhall Castle and save our game. It's pretty easy for Tally to die. So I'm going to go back to Middenhall Castle and fight around there a little bit, just to get him some levels up before we head over to the next area of this game. Which the next step we have to do is get the silver key, I believe, from the lake cave. And then after that, we will head towards Moonbrook to find out what happened to the princess who was needed for our party. So, as you can see, Tally starts out with nothing in terms of experience. So we have to beef him up. Because again, even through all his adventures, he gained no experience. So, we're just going to exit this fight and keep heading back towards Middenhall Castle. I think my favorite character in this game, believe it or not, is the princess, just because her offensive magic towards the end becomes so good that it makes the game so much easier. There are playthroughs of people that do beat this game without getting the characters. You can do it. Again, it's very difficult and time consuming. I don't know why you would, but people like to do that kind of stuff, especially for speedruns and things like that, because there's nothing actually requires you to get the princess, the prince or the princess in this game. They just make it part of the storyline, but you don't actually have to do it. So we're just going to keep heading back here. Again, like I said, I try and fight my way back every time. We're just going to knock these guys out and gain some more gold. And work our way back to Middenhall Castle. Again, I fight every single battle just to get, at this point, basically Tally up some levels, because he's so weak right now. He'll learn Fireball pretty quick, which is a good offensive attack, and then you don't have to rely on him actually fighting. But he doesn't learn that till I think level 3. And the same thing happens when you get the princess. She starts out at level 1, so you have to keep her alive, but you can level her up pretty quick by fighting around the town where she's trapped as the dog. So here we are back at Middenhall Castle. For good measure, we're going to stay at the inn, and then we'll go ahead and save our game. So that'll be the end of this video. I hope everyone likes this. There will be more to come. We're going to play through this entire game. So hopefully everyone can please like the video and subscribe, and I will be seeing everyone soon. Thank you.